Hello everyone! Welcome back to my channel. My video for today is all about memories of an old appliances and gadgets that I know for sure many can relate. First is a rotary dial telephone. A rotary dial is a component of telephone or a telephone switchboard that implements dialing technology in telecommunication known as pulse dialing. It is used when initiating a telephone call to transmit the destination telephone number to a telephone exchange. On the rotary phone dial, the digits are arranged in circular layout so that the finger wheel may be rotated against spring tension with one finger, starting from the position of each digit and rotating to the fixed finger stop position. The angle through which the dial is rotated correspondent to the desired digit. Compact telephones with the dial in the headset had all holes equally spaced on the dial and a spring-loaded finger stop with limited travel. From the 1970 onward, the rotary dial was gradually supplanted by DTF, dual-tone multi-frequency push-button dialing, first produced to the public at the 1962 World Fair under the trade name Touchtone. Touchtone technology primarily used keypad in the form of a rectangular array to push buttons. Although no longer common use, the rotary dial legacy remains the verb to dial telephone number. Next is a wooden console radio. The console radio was the centerpiece of household entertainment in the era of radio. They were big and expensive, costing hundreds of dollars in the late 1930s, and were often coupled with phonograph. Tending to be the major acquisition for middle-class family, these large radios were usually placed in living rooms. Mostly console radios were tall and narrow, but as the years went on, they got shorter and wider in accordance with the Art Deco design precepts which had became popular. Tabletop radios came in many forms: cathedral style, tombstone style, and a tabletop rectangular one. Some premium makers such as E.H. Scott and Silver Marshall started around 500 to 800 range in 1930s to 1940s. In this era, the radios were typically housed in wood, although some tabletop came in rather plain metal cabinets. Bakelite and Catalin were the most popular synthetic materials during the 1930s and 1940s. Next is an old mobile phone. I think many can remember and can relate this one. Mobile phones, particularly the smartphones that have become our inseparable companion today, are relatively new. However, the history of mobile phones goes back to 1908 when a US patent was issued in Kentucky to wireless telephone. Mobile phones were invented as early as 1940s when engineers working at AT&T developed cells for mobile phone base station. The very first mobile phones are not really mobile phones at all. There were two-way radios that allowed two people to communicate each other. Motorola on April 3, 1973 were the first company to mass produce the first handheld mobile phone. These early mobile phones are often referred as zero-G mobile phones or zero-generation mobile phones. But nowadays, most phones rely on 3G, 4G, and 5G technology. Next is an old Wokitoki. A Wokitoki is a two-way radios, or a walkie-talkies are so-called transceivers. This is because they are able to transmit and receive radio communication at the same time, unlike normal radios where communication is only sent one way. To use a walkie-talkie unit, you and other users must tune to the same frequency band or channel. The Wokitoki was first invented in 1937 by the Canadian Don Hengst, with many similar devices being developed by other inventors around the same time. They became substantially more popular with recreational users, including adults and children, during 1970s and 1980s. Next is an old cameras. This camera is called the Daguerreotypes types camera with copper plates with silver coating. The film was treated with iodine to get images. In 1840, a type of camera with different process called the calotype was introduced. But day by day, the camera sector witnessed advancements, and now there were single lens reflex camera, twin lens reflex camera, and etc. Moreover, the camera size was decreasing in proportion to the new features being introduced in this profession. Later on, also cameras with mechanical shutter were also introduced. This is another old camera using rolled film. This one was the simplest camera type with a 35mm miniature camera. In 1881, a farmer in Cambria, Wisconsin, Peter Houston, invented the first roll film camera. The most popular roll film format is 120 film, which is used in most medium format cameras and roll film magazine for large format cameras. In 1998, Fujifilm introduced a film identification system for 120 and 220 format roll film called barcode system. A roll film is a type of spool-wound photographic film protected from white light exposure by a paper backing, as opposed to film which is protected from exposure and wound forward in a cartridge. A rolled film was originally often referred as a cartridge film because of its resemblance to a shotgun cartridge. Next is an old computer using floppy disk or diskette. This kind of computer was the one we used before during my college days. The first electronic computer was built in 1937, and that was built by Clifford Bailey and Dr. John who worked on that computer. The unit was called ABC in the military. The Colossus was the first electric computer. In 1979, the Radio Shack computer system had an internal 8 inches floppy drive capable of storing 500K of data. The Northstar Horizon on 1977 was one of the first computer with built 5 and 1/4 inch floppy drive. On later on 1984, the Apple Macintosh had an internal 3.5 inch floppy drive capable of storing 400K of data. The last one is an old black and white television. According to the Federal Communication Commission, Vladimir Kosma Zworykin filed 2 patents for early versions of the television in 1923. However, RCA revealed the first black and white television set sold to the American public in the World War Fair in 1939. In 1927, a 21-year-old Philo Farnsworth presented his version of the television. The first image projected on his version was a line created with electronic dim scan picture. About 15 years before Farnsworth presented his creation, Russian Boris Rosing had conducted similar experiment transmitting moving pictures. Early in the 1920s, both English and American inventors presented mechanical television system. All their television transmitted in black and white. RCA eventually chose Zworykin to help them develop the black and white television set it sold in 1939. That's all for now, guys. I just made this video to reminisce those old memories that will forever stay in our lives. Be it a photographs moment or anything that reminds these memories to recall. Advances in technology and changes in lifestyle constantly bring new items in our daily life. I know for sure for the new generation or millennials, these items, these things is quite mysterious relics for them. Thank you all for watching. Until next video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for you to be updated with my next coming video. Thank you and bye-bye.